This is really an honor because my brother Kenny started in the business many years ago. Fritz von Erich sent him to Florida to train with Hiro Matsuda. There was an Olympian there by the name of Bob Roop. Hiro Matsuda and Bob Roop worked out with my brother day in and day out. And he had his first matches there in Florida with them. And last year when Bob came to the hall, I said to him, I said, man, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'd love to hear a story about my brother Kenny when he came to Florida and he got started with you guys. And on Sunday at the shootout, we finally sat down and visited for a few minutes, and he said, you know, I thought all week about what story you wanted to hear and what story I could tell you. And he said, the one thing I can tell you is when we got your brother in the gym and started working out with him, he stood toe-to-toe with Hiro and I. Your brother was one tough cat. And really made me feel good. And getting to know Bob Roop is getting to know a man that's traveled the world. This week, while you all have been in town with our great legends and the Hall of Famers, we have two guys in this month or this year that are living legends that have wrestled in front of more than 100,000 people. And that's Butcher Vachon. We're really three, because I know Abby has as well, but Bob Roop and Butcher Vachon and Abby have wrestled more than 100,000 people. And that's something really special. So I'm not going to take a lot of time because you need to hear Bob Roop talk. I'm honored to be part of this, to induct Bob Roop into our Collegue division in 2019, our 18th class. Congratulations, Bob, on your trip to the Hall of Fame. God bless you.
I'm removing my electric ring so that I can put on my Hall of Fame ring. It's not being diminished at all. I'm proud to wear this ring as I am to wear my electric ring. Some of you might see me walk over to the side and stand by the bar over there. After I've been sitting down for a while, I have to get up, make sure I can walk. This video was kind of funny a few minutes ago. I was out there going, anybody wants me to lie down, get in the ring and make. Now, anybody wants me to lie down, just put a lady with away. See it. Right there. It's really, really nice to be here. This is a family, and it's my wrestling family. Every one of us here is included. But it's the first time here. We've been here for years. Colleague Arvin and I have been friends with Penny for 50 years, and I've been friends with Dave, and I've met for the first time. Connie is old and gold. Dave's trying to do the truth. It's the same thing. Yeah, real privilege to be here now. I'm going to do something a little different. First of all, I try not to smile too big, but I don't want you to think that I'm ground. If anything ground, I decided not to wear my upper denture to talk to you. And while I can't grin, if I do it now, I'm afraid that my jack-o'-lantern look might scare any of the children in the class. Most of you just ate, I don't want to upset your stomach, so if I'm not smiling a lot, don't worry about it. I'm not growling, I'm just protecting your health. Now, a few months ago, Johnny emailed me and he asked me to send a bio of not just my wrestling accomplishments, but family oriented, my personal life. And I complied really quickly. I don't think I took more than 2 weeks. The wrestling is pretty quick. And I sent it, I finally got it, and I'm not blaming Johnny. I think that he's not well, took the slacker. He didn't send it, so I followed him more recently, and I resent it, but he'd already printed the program. And the bio in the program is not, I mean, it's fine, but it's not complete. It leaves out a few things. You're my family, my wrestling family, but my personal family, of course, as yours is more important. My son Kyle is here with me tonight, and I'd like to mention some other members of my family too. I'm going to have to do this a little bit unusual, so I hope you'll bear with me. The bio that I sent Johnny, I can't memorize it. It's not that long. It's really a 2-hour story of it. So yeah, I'm going to read this back. Dang. I want to introduce my son Kyle. Kyle said, Dad, this is his fault. He said, Dad, whatever you do, I said, how do I make sure I don't lose this? He said, whatever you do, don't hit the button. Certain button. Well, I just apparently I just said, thanks so much. This is my son Kyle, wonderful, wonderful young man. He's traveled about 5 events with me from 1,000 miles because I want him to be a part of the wrestling family represented by all of you, even though I'm no longer here. I want him to be a part of that. I'm glad to say he does. I'm standing here hoping, beyond hope, that I have the best of the fellowship that that message gets sent to Mars or someplace. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read you. This is the unusual part. I'm going to read you that bio. It's not that long, but I had a half hour to try to memorize it. He just said you're not close. Well, I should not touch it. Right. As far as computer and computer science and the new data technology, I'm pre-K. I'm not fully illiterate. So I would like to read, I'd just like to read to you what I wrote that I wanted to go in the program. And the main reason why is because it adds my dear wife to the bio that was not included, was the one that they were forced to put together because they didn't get this one. It wasn't their fault. And this is written in this was written in a way that didn't have to say I, me, this. So Bob Roop, born in Blacksburg, Virginia in 1942, Frank Sidney Roop Jr. and Ruth Palmer Roop grew up in an extended family with brothers Frank Jr. III and Richard, sisters Ellen and Jennifer. But Dad is a college professor of engineering. Family moved to Searose in the teaching profession, added to a 3-year stint in West Point, New York, during the Korean War, had our family moving about the U.S. on a regular basis. By the time I entered 7th grade at East Lansing, Michigan, I had attended 5 different elementary schools. That nomadic early life giving me an extensive gift for travel. Here in high school at East Lansing, I played football, was a member of the wrestling team, threw a shot put on the track team. Awarded a football scholarship at Michigan State University at East Lansing. I played football and wrestled there for 2 years. Leaving MSU to join the Army, U.S. Army, I served my 3 years enlistment at 7 different military postings. Returned to college via wrestling scholarship at Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, graduating with a liberal arts degree in 1969. Married while at SIU, fathered son Michael Andrew in 1968. Scratched itch for travel by entering professional wrestling after college, touring Japan and Australia during my first year in the business. Returned to both countries multiple times during my career, as well as England, Scotland, Germany, Korea, New Zealand, Tasmania, Iraq, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, multiple national wrestling alliance promotions, as well as the WWF with 3 appearances in Madison Square Garden. I barely escaped being murdered by Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and now 4 years into the writing, the written telling at this book titled Lesson for Saddam, Held Hostage by a Monster. Though my 20-year career was relative. Though my 20-year career was relatively short, I worked in all areas of the profession, i.e. booker, owner, TV producer, color commentator, and vice president developer of Star of Western. Met sweet Molly Ann Urich in 1976, married her and father's sons Ryan and Kyle, retired from pro wrestling upon birth of son Ryan in 1989, returned to East Lansing in a new role as Mr. Mom for both sons. I served as a volunteer parent in their classroom and also worked as a playground supervisor at their elementary school. Became interested in teaching and went back to college at age 64 for a 3-year stint to become certified as K-7 elementary school teacher, K-12 special education teacher. Worked in that profession until Molly suffered 2 strokes, making her an invalid and being her full-time caregiver. Youngest son Kyle was hired by his father to aid in taking care of her. We together spent the next several years making her life as comfortable as possible in her own home. The strokes eventually took her life in July of 2017, but we've been given almost 3 years to show our love and devotion to her, her slow but steady departure from our family. Our 41 years together blessed my life. Our sons Kyle, Ryan, and I are still together as co-owners of our home. Amateur wrestling earned state and national championships, all Army and all service team membership, All-American and Olympic status. Professional wrestling competition gained titles allowing me to wear 22 championship belts, some of them several times. Those amateur pro efforts earned the honor of peer recognition and induction into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame via the George Craig's Blue Threads Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, the Greater Lansing Area Sports Hall of Fame, and the National Amateur Athletic Union Wrestling Hall of Fame. Having known and competed against a man who was the greatest wrestler of his era, I was personally touched and honored by receiving the Cauliflower Alley Club Blue Studs Award. Because I've only recently had the privilege of personally meeting members of their legendary dynasty, I am extremely appreciative of the Hart family honoring me with a Stuart Lifetime Achievement Award. Because without them, I would not be writing this. My most fervent thank you goes to PWHF President Johnny Mantell, family, PWHF Board of Directors, PWHF Election Screening Committee, and PWHF Distinguished Selection Committee. I am honored beyond the words to express it to be nominated and accepted into the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum at Wichita Falls. The respect and deep regard shown by PWHF as my predecessors and colleagues makes my addition to their ranks a singular honor of inestimable value to me and mine. Last but most certainly not least, I'm also very grateful to supporters of the PWHF. Without you, we would not exist, and an integral part of the honor I feel is pure joy of being able to share this tribute with you. With my heart of hearts, thank you. Give his phone back. I probably have enough. I'm sorry. That part was hard to me. Now it's time for the 2-hour story. I'm just kidding. There are a couple of things I'd like to say. First of all, where's the light? I appreciate the colleagues that I am now bonded with forever by being inducted in this year's Hall of Fame. Gentlemen and ladies, we are bonded. With apologies to those who I personally don't know, mostly departed, but even some living that I didn't know very well. There's not much I can say except I'm very honored to have my name among them. However, for the people I do know, I'd like to say a few words about them. Beverly Shea. Beverly Shea last year deserved an Academy Award for the Grace Under Pressure Award of having accepted Induction Award for a man she threatened to blow sky high because he had threatened her husband. She got up here and managed to accept his Induction Award without one cuss word, without one threatening gesture. And I'm telling you, Oscar time, she would have won. She had beat Meryl Streep and anybody else. So that bears mention. And Beverly, I treasured you for that performance, but also tonight, what an honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with you, my dear. Mondo Guerrero. Mondo, Kyle and I got picked up from in Fort Worth, and Mondo, we got to ride with Mondo up here to Wichita Falls. Mondo was in the back with my son Kyle, and they had a very nice conversation. He was very charming and kind and open and friendly to a young man. And he and I talked. We didn't communicate much in our careers. Our career paths didn't cross. We always know each other very well. But as you noticed, we up here with a charming man. We were talking yesterday, and he told me about his father being an amateur wrestler and teaching them in amateur wrestling. And all the story he told, if they messed up and came home, Dad would be sitting there in the singlet, amateur wrestling singlet, like maybe reading the paper or something. They do it, it's their butt, because Dad had on that singlet for a reason, and he was going to take them. I wasn't going to be Stuart's basement, but he was going to take them somewhere and show them a few things. And I told him I really wished that I had known that they were amateur wrestlers, because when I got into the pros, I was private in pro wrestling, and Greco-Roman, who had the great pleasure to work for in he promoted El Paso. I worked with him as a promoter there. Some of his children also were at least present, sometimes worked on the card, and that probably most of the time. But I was a private, he was a general, and these guys were the NCOs or maybe younger officers. I was just this new guy, and I considered myself a private. Being in the Olympics doesn't have any bearing for wrestling. I didn't know how, I was still trying to figure the best way to get into the ring. Us knows what to do once inside it. So I didn't approach them and think about going up and introducing myself to Dory Guerrero, which I would have had this credibility as an Olympian to go up and say, I understand you're an amateur wrestler. It would be my honor and pleasure to introduce myself to you, sir. And he would, because of my background, he would, I'm sure, not rejected me anyway. And I could have gotten to know him, and through him, the family better, because they're fine, they're good people. Yeah, you saw yourself, they're fine people. And there's no taint or stain or any kind of thing, controversy to their family name. So it would have been a real addition to my life, quality of my life, to have known them. But we've had our time, and I know we've got a lot of time in the future. I'm going to stay alive and make sure you do too. I'll put my old singlet on and maybe frighten you, not by anything I might do in terms of wrestling. I'll threaten to fall on you. That'll get you motivated. But we all want to stay alive for a long time, don't we? I'm sure we do. As to the butcher, Abby, I didn't know you very well. You know, we never worked in the territory, but I gotta hand it to you. One of the greatest personas created, one of the most successful personas ever created and maintained for a long time, so that never happened. And you can't argue with success. He's the man that did it. You're the man that did it. And my hat's off to you. Randy Rose. Randy, you and I didn't know each other very well. Good to see you today. Wonderful to meet your charming wife, Sherry. And let's go to someone who I do know a little better. Ronnie Garvin and I have been friends for 50 years. The first time, I tried to make this not too much longer, but the first time I met Ronnie, we worked together, and I was still at the stage just before I went down the road. So I did know how to get in the ring, but it was always once or twice in the ring on the match before it even started. And I worked with Ronnie, and Ronnie put me over like $1 million, and afterwards came into my dressing room. The dressing rooms were separate in Orlando. He came into my dressing room and thanked me for the match. This guy, he'd been in the business 7 years, but he was surprised me. He was a genius in the ring. And that what he showed me there, I learned things from him in the ring about work, but what I learned from him was professional behavior, courtesy, how to conduct yourself as a professional athlete in our profession, of not having any resentment of doing your job. If you are asked to make someone who barely knows how, doesn't know how to work, Ronnie took pride, I'm sure, in being able to go out there with someone like me and make me look like I knew what I was doing. And so that was our first. Well, years later, we're in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is one of the hardest cities in the world because New York taped their shows there. And they would do 6 or 7 shows at a time in front of a live audience and back to back. And sometimes the guy that was carried out in the last hour of one show would come back 20 minutes later, and the next show, no stretcher. He walked out and he looked like nothing had happened to him. They smartened everybody up in Philadelphia, so working there was horrible. The audience they were all, hey, we know you guys are just putting this stuff on, so the match before, Ronnie and I were working that night. The match before us, I felt so sorry for them. 2 of them were the young Bob Armstrong's kids. And that crowd got on them with this boring stuff. Boring. Those kids probably ran 2 miles doing high spots in that ring in 20 minutes, in and out of the ring. That crowd had them running around like, I'm telling you, hamsters on speed. And Ronnie and I got in there, tied up, pushing the rope. Boring. Ronnie said, get a headlock. Take me over. So they think that's boring. Wait till they see this. We laid there for 7 minutes. Oh, he kicked the seat, he worked like, getting up. We stayed down for 7 minutes. Now, I'm still a little bit green, and I'm getting, I'm not nervous, but I'm being effective, let's put it that way, by the encouragement from our action, right, the smell. So finally, the board, after a while, they got tired of it. When it got quiet enough, we heard somebody say, will you people shut the F up so maybe they'll do something? And Ronnie said, okay, now we can start doing something. We're looking at it now. And they got into it. Well, that was a real lesson for me. Ronnie taught me that our job was to be in control of the ring, not to be controlled by the audience. Because if you do that, especially if you're a heel, you put yourself in a lot of danger. So that was another, in the sense that Ronnie's one of the few people that I stayed close friends with after retiring. Pro wrestling is not conducive to close friendships because they're competing for top spots. I mean, we're brothers. We're brothers and all that. In terms of close friendship, you spend all week in a car with a guy. You have a 3-day holiday, you don't have them over for a barbecue. You see them all week. You're looking for privacy and all that, so it's not conducive to that, like that real brotherhood. But Ronnie and I both retired. We were able to visit and stay close. We didn't have to go anywhere. We took one 4-day trip, driving to visit different people. Patty Curtis, who recently lost time, and we went to visit with her. We didn't turn on the radio one time in 4 days. Telling stories and visiting with each other. And so that's been a real valuable, relationship for me. And so I want to say how happy I am, especially all of you, but Ted Gordienko has been a true friend to me. I'm writing a book involved the Saddam story. George Gordienko was the first wrestler there. I was third. And so Ted has helped me with my book about Saddam Hussein and Iraq a lot. And I really appreciate that. Plus he has put on in the digital form more than 1 million items for the museum. He is the guy that is really preserving our history and personally helped me. So thank you very much, Ted. And Joyce Bastian and dear husband, Woody. We have been friends for many times. Joyce is a wrestling historian that shows the ultimate respect for our profession, but also a dear and kind, sweet person, and Woody likewise. And I'm so happy that you're here, and thank you for coming to see me, or visit with me, and be part of this school. Now, the rest of you say, well, what about us? One last thing one short story about Ronnie. Ronnie and I worked in a show where there were 7 people in the audience. It was a little country town in Tennessee, or not town in Tennessee. Whiskey didn't get put up. None of the advertising got done. Nobody knew about it. We got there. I mean, we had Ronnie Garber, myself, Robert Jr., Malenko. We had a top-rate crew. So 7 people in the audience. So Ronnie said, people said, oh, let's just cancel and go home. Ronnie said, no, these people paid. Give them the show. They paid for it. We went out and did the show. However, if we had had that result a month in a row, we would have gone out of business. And the only reason I tell that story is because those of you who are not wrestlers that are here, without you, there's no us. Without us, there's no you. Whether you like it or not, we're family, we are bonded together, and you know what? Thank the Lord for that. Thank you very much.
Roop, ladies and gentlemen. Now, our next induction.